So we're picking up from where we left off in the Holy Quran, Circle 7, Divinely Prepared by Noble Jew Ali. Chapter 39, Holy Instructions from the Prophet. We're dealing with the pinnacle of wisdom. That's the topic at hand. The pinnacle of wisdom. Pinnacle means peak. As the eye of the morning of the lark is a small bird. As the eye of the morning of the lark, as the shade of the evening to the owl, as honey to the bee, or as the carcass to the vulture, even such is life unto the heart of man. Though bright, it dazzleth not. Though bright, it dazzleth not. Though obscure, it displeaseth not. Though sweet, it cloyeth not. When you look up cloy or cloyeth, it's excessively sweet. So basically it's saying, though sweet, not excessively sweet. Though corrupt, it forbiddeth not. Yet who is he that knoweth its true value? So who are we discussing? Whose true value? The value of the morning, the shade, the honey. There's value to the owl, there's value to the lark, which is a bird. The honey has value to the bee. The carcass has value to the vulture. The heart of man, we value things as well. Islam and everybody, happy holy day. Jerry Bay, Quasicola, Islam.
Islam.
Though bright, it dazzleth not. Though obscure, it displeaseth not. Though sweet, it cloyeth not. Though corrupt, it forbiddeth not. Yet is he that knoweth its true value. Learn to esteem as thou ought. I know we heard of self-esteem, but does one know what esteem? When you look that up, respect and admiration, so to admire. So in a context of self-esteem, admiring thyself, respecting thyself is a characteristic of having self-esteem. Take off the self, you're dealing with respect and admiration. Learn to esteem, learn to respect as thou art, then art thou near the pinnacle of wisdom. So when you learn to esteem, learn to have the qualities of respect and admiration, then you're getting near to the pinnacle of wisdom. Think not with the fool that nothing is more valuable, nor believe with the pretended wise that thou oughtest to condemn it. Love it not thyself, but for the good it may be of to others. So you're loving yourself, not conceitedly, not pompously, boastfully. You're using your qualities or the things that you admire about yourself for the betterment of mankind, or to be strategic into the growth and development of humanity. Gold cannot buy it for thee, neither mines of diamonds purchase back the moment thou hast now lost. Employ the succeeding ones in virtue. You can't purchase the moment at hand. Don't think about the future to the point where it's distracting you in the present of enjoying the moment. Don't harp on the past so long and have regrets that you're not enjoying the moment or not bouncing back and learning from whatever that gave you the regrets or for whatever. Employ the succeeding ones in virtue. Like we learned last week, we should know what the word virtue means now, right? Showing high moral standards. What's employ mean? I know we think of employment, but what does just the word employ by itself mean? When you look that up, to make use of. To make use of. Employ the succeeding ones in virtue. The ones, the beneficiaries, make sure they're instilled with what virtues are. So make sure they have noble habits. Teach that to the heirs. Say not that it were best not to have been born, or if born, that it has been best to die early. Don't regret being born. Don't say, I wish I could just get this over with. I'm tired of living. Don't do that. Neither dare thou to ask of thy creator, where has been the evil had I not existed? Good is thy power. The want of good is evil. The power, so the power we all possess is good. But to want power is evil. Because now it's a different vein. It's a different your heart chakra is vibrating different. To naturally have power and do good with it is one thing. But to pray and want power, think about what that means. Why would one just be like, I want power? The one that says that, what for what? Like what, you know what I mean? The want of good is evil. And if thy question be just, lo, it committeth thee. Would the fish swallow the bait if he knew the hook were hidden therein? Would the lion enter the toils if he saw? So toils is a trap. When you look up toils, that means trap. Would the lion enter the trap if he saw what were prepared for him? So neither were the soul to perish with this clay, neither would a merciful father have created him. No, hence thou shalt live, that shalt live afterwards. As the bird enclosed in the cage before he seeth, yet teareth not his flesh against his sides. So neither labor thou vainly to run the state thou art in, but know it is allotted thee, and be content with it. So neither be vain about the state that you're in. You might have major abilities, mental, physical. Don't be vain about it. But know you were allotted, a lot is a portion, or you were granted, and be content with it. So don't boast about it or be ungrateful about it. It works both ways. You are who you are. Your goal is to unfold and find out how to be the best version of yourself. And we're learning the tools to do that, right? Astral diagnosis. Though its ways are uneven, yet they are not all painful. Accommodate thyself to all, and where there is the least appearance of evil, suspect the greatest danger. When thy bed is straw, thou sleepiest in security, but when thou stretcheth thyself on roses, beware of thorns. Be cautious of all things, right? Don't get too comfortable. Head on a swivel. A good death is better than an evil life. A good death is better than an evil life. Strive therefore to live as long as thou oughtest, not as long as thou canst. I go back to the good health practices promotes long living. Don't do things to make your life short, even though we know things happen. But don't live a destructive lifestyle, especially when you know better, you do better. While thy life is to others worth more than thy death, it is thy duty to preserve it, right? It is thy duty to preserve life. Complain not with the fool. Complain not with the fool of the shortness of thine time. Remember, with thy days, thy cares are shortened. Take from the period of thy life the useless part of it, and what remaineth. If we take away the useless parts of our life, the destructive things all across the board, what will remain? That's a question we must ask ourselves. Take off the time of thine infancy, thy second infancy of age. Take away the sleep, the time when we're asleep, take away that. Thy thoughtless hours, the days of sickness, and even at thy fullness of years, how few seasons has truly numbered? How many days have we been truly living? If you take away the time we've been asleep, take away the time we've been sick, take away the infancy period. He who gave thee life as a blessing shortened it to make it even more so. To what end would longer life have served thee? So people that are asking for the longer life, I want to live till I'm about 500. I don't want to die in the physical, in the carnal. I don't want to so they're saying I don't want to die, but really they're saying I want to be in this carnal experience I'm having forever. That's essentially what they're saying. So people that think like that, here's a question. To what end would longer life serve thee? Wish thou to have an opportunity of more vices? We just went over what vices are. What are vices? Things that lead to destruction. Slowly. Negative habits. Addictions. So you want to live longer so you can have an opportunity to have more vices? As to the good, will not he who limited thy span be satisfied with the fruits of it? Goodwill, good life, good deeds. You're going to go when you go. Live in the moment. But still plan for the future. But still live in the moment while you're doing that. Because while you're living, you're going to see things start manifesting. Good reputation. Good business dealings. So live in the moment, but still plot and plan. We're in the business of manifesting. To what end, O child of sorrow, wouldst thou live longer? To breathe, to eat, to see the world? All this thou hast done already, often already. Too frequent repetition. Is it not tiresome? So you want to live longer just to breathe, eat? You did that already. Or is it not superfluous? And superfluous just means unnecessary or more than enough, excessive, flamboyant. Isn't this reasoning for wanting to live longer flamboyant? Would thou improve thy wisdom in thy virtue? Question. Question is, wouldn't your reasoning for living longer be to improve the wisdom and the virtue versus the latter? Alas, what are thou to know? Or who is it that shall teach thee? Badly thou employest the little thou hast. Right? Back to employ, make use of. Employ, make use of. I know we're here employee, but just employ, make use of. Badly thou make use of, employest. Badly thou make use of the little thou hast. Dare not therefore to complain that the more is not given thee. You asking for more, you're not even maintaining and being fruitful with the tools that you have. You're not ready for expansion. You're not even fruitful in the state that you're in now. Repine means complain or express content. Repine not, so don't complain. Complain not at thy want of knowledge. It must perish within the grave. Be honest here. Thou shalt be wise hereafter. Be honest with yourself and you become wise. Say not unto the crow, why numberest thou 7 times thy Lord? Or to the fawn, why aren't thine eyes to see my offspring 100 generations? Are these not to be compared with the abuse of life? Are they riotous? Are they cruel? Are they ungrateful? Learn from them. So learn from the crow, learn from the fawn. Are they riotous? Is the fawn cruel? Is the fawn riotous? Or are they just kind of just peacefully doing what they do? You think they're ungrateful? You think they wish they had supernatural abilities? Or you think they just grateful just to do what they do? There's questions that are being asked. Learn from them. Rather, that innocence of manners are the paths of good old age. Knowest thou to employ life better than these? Knowest thou to make use of life better than these, right? Now that we know what employ means in this context, then less of it may suffice thee. Man who dares enslaves the world when he knows he can enjoy his tyranny but for a moment, what would he not aim at if he were immortal? So a person that's tyrannical, begging to live, just wishing and praying to live a long life so he can continue to do tyranny. That's what's being expressed. enough hath thou of life, but thou regardeth not. Thou art not in one of it, O man, but thou art prodigal. So this is like being excessive, spending money or resources freely and recklessly, wasteful, extravagant. O man, but thou art prodigal or excessive, extravagant, wasteful. Thou threwest it lightly away, as if thou hadst more than enough, and yet thou repinest or complain that it is not gathered again unto thee. So basically, when you had it, you blew it. It was points in your life when you know what I'm saying, could have took what you had and compounded that, but you blew it. And now you want it again. Know that it is not abundance which maketh rich, but economy. So abundance doesn't make you rich, but economy does. So it's not about one person just getting the bag. Because in order for economy to happen, you must have a product, right? You're a merchant. You got merchandise. And if you look up the Moors anciently, look up the Silk Road, the Moors were the greatest merchants. So when Prophet Noble Jew Ali says be industrious, he's saying be a merchant. He's saying have some type of business going on that funnels back to the society. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be like a stream. Like, you know, when we first read these books, these self-help books, you know, streams of income. We all need streams of income. That was, you know what I mean? That became trendy, but it's a reality. But once again, we want streams of income for the community because that's national principles and standards. The wise continueth to live from his first period. The fool is always beginning. Labor not after riches first, and think thou wilt afterwards enjoy them. Labor not after riches first, and think thou wilt enjoy them afterwards. So you would have to work to become rich. So you have to work first. That's a prerequisite. You're not enjoying nothing if you don't put in the work. He who neglecteth the present moment, throw away all that he have. Back to living in the moment. He who neglect the present moment, throw away all he has. You're not content with what's going on right in the moment. As the arrow passeth through the heart, while the warrior knew not that it was coming, so shall his life be taken away before he knoweth that he hath it. What then is life that man should desire? What, breathing that he should covet? Is it not a sense of delusion, a series of misadventures, a pursuit of evils linked on all sides together? In the beginning, it is ignorance. Pain is in the middle, and its end is sorrow. as one wave pusheth another, till both are involved in that behind them, and so succeedeth evil to evil in the life of man. The greatest and the present swallow up the lesser and the past. Our terrors are real evils. Our expectations look forward into impossibilities. Fools do dread as mortals, and to desire as if immortal. So the dread is to have fear. Fools have fear as mortals, and they have desire as if immortal. What part of life is it that we should wish to remain with us? Is it youth? So what's the reason? Please mute whoever's unmuted. So what's okay? So what part of life is it that you want to live so long? Is it youth? You wish you just remain youthful? Can we be in love with outrage, licentiousness, and termity? When you look up licentiousness, it basically means being unprincipled, promiscuous, and termity is excessive confidence or being bold or having audacity. Can we be in love with outrage and being promiscuous and being cocky and bold? Is it age that we want to live so long? Then that means we are fond with infirmities. Infirmities, when you look that up, is physical or mental weaknesses. So if the reason you want to live so long is to have these type of principles, licentiousness and termity, which is essentially excessive confidence or being cocky and being, just having sex all day, then that's will be considered an infirmity. And an infirmity is a physical or mental weakness. It is said gray hairs are revered, are respected, and length of days in honor. Virtue, high standards, can add respect or reverence to the bloom of youth. So as the young become old, or the youth blossoms and unfolds, you can give respect if you have virtue. Virtue adds respect as you grow as in your youth. And without it, age plants more wrinkles in the soul than on the forehead. Is age respected because it had to the right? What justice is in this when it is not age that despiseth pleasure, but pleasure that despiseth age? Be virtuous. Virtuous, virtue. Root word is virtue. So have high standards. So have high standards while thou art young. So shall thou age be honored. So, we I know a lot of our people are conscious or have these lessons when we're young, but imagine if that was the culture, these lessons, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. And now you consciously are having, you making actions and doing things accordingly because that's the foundation period. You're gonna make sure your character's upright. You're gonna make sure you have a certain reputation. You're gonna make sure your actions and your fruits are such a way in your youth, because it's gonna be a time when you get old, possibly. And you want to kind of be like respected for what you did early in the game. So I'm gonna open the floor for any analysis questions. I'm gonna look in this chat, see what's going on.
Islam, peace and love.
This one.
Really, this is one of my favorite chapters, first of all, in the Holy Quran. But I forgot what ayat it was, but first of all, honors to you, because I love how you take breaks and interpret things. You know what I'm saying? You don't just read the Circle 7. You really take time to feed us and break down the definition. But yeah, honors to you on that.
Islam.
But the want to be good is evil. That's the part that stood out to me the most. And that's why I said prayer is evil, because the prayer is begging and asking. That's a kiddie, childish activity, right? So, and Daylight made it real clear too, like just clearing the concept. Like when we pray for things, we think we're seeing fruition because we got a new job, we got the new apartment. We're praying for these blessings, these curses to recycle themselves and never grow up to be the adult or the Muslim and really manifest it. You know what I'm saying? But man, we can go into so much on that, but that really, really stood out to me as well. Peace and love, y'all.
Islam. Islam. Anybody else?
Islam. Wise words, wise words. I have a couple points, but I'm gonna just do it like together because a lot of them seem to be some of the same themes. Like for me, what I found is staying in balance is a big thing. Keeping your ego in check, doing it for the love and the benefit of others. Also like living in the field at all times. That's also balance. Like that's the now. So it's like, in order to access the things you want, you have to live in that place where everything's possible always.
Right. To even have the power to create, to want to create.
Yep.
Yeah, that just kind of like reassure me to feel like, just don't let things on the outside enforce you, what I mean, to feel ways you didn't choose to feel.
Yep.
Like everything is enjoy chaos, enjoy, the most peaceful area, enjoy everything. It's just like a part of the human experience, being humble, being balanced. You have to let people really be themselves, and you have to know how to be while you with them. That's the whole point of mastery. It's like you can choose what you want to think, you can choose how you want to feel, and if anybody influenced those things other than yourself, then that's what you have to work on, because man can only change himself. We can't change anything on the outside of us, especially without touching it.
I feel like that right there, what you just said, I mean, it kind of has to do with what he was talking about, with where you gotta praying to be good is sinful or whatever, because or evil, because instead of just doing the act of goodness,
Commanding you too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know, it ties together.
Right, because also in praying too, like Quran said, like you already have everything you need. So when
Do
you
as
see the other
do as you
dude,
say.
and then you start praying, you know what I mean? You might get envious of another person because you feel like you might not have what they have or you can't attain what they can attain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's all facts. Hey, cause like they got spells on that word, you know, like I don't know how old everyone is, but like 20, 30 years, they've been drilling you, telling you what praying is. And if you think about it, like the state of mind and the emotional vibe behind praying, it's like you either scared, in fear, worried,
Yep.
or begging. You know, they instead of giving praise, like when something great happened in your life and you're like, damn, give thanks. That to me, that's praying more than,
Yeah.
you know, spending multiple times of the day or whatever to pray to something for something to happen. You know what I mean? Like just give thanks for the basic shit.
Yep.
And that's what people have
Ultimate
problems with.
respect and gratitude.
Yeah,
Gratitude.
for sure. Yes. You know, be thankful you're breathing. You
In,
can
in
eat,
other
you can
words,
hear, you know?
in other words, stand on what you're praying or what you're saying. You know.
Yep.
Mhm.
Be grateful
Yeah.
for the minute things, the most minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 6 was, I think, was kind of saying that we have to acknowledge that we chose to come here, and that everything that we're going through is to get you what you desire, right? And after you find out what you desire, you have to ask yourself why you want that, because without the why, you have no direction to that desire.
Right. Right. Exactly.
I like how it said like how it just, you know, it's balanced because it says something about like living the now and plan your future too. Like it's a both, because people always make that point, but they always use one or the other.
Mhm.
So that was
Yeah,
excellent
yeah.
the way they put it together and said, no, you do both. You know, and yeah, that makes sense, man.
I
Like
mean, it
little
makes the
small
most.
reminder.
As far as like manifesting, you know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, you living in the moment, but you manifesting and things will come into fruition as long as you're taking the steps to, you know, bring it into fruition. I mean, that's the laws of, you know, compensation. As long as you put forth the action, you're gonna be compensated for it. So as long as your deeds and, you know, you was upright when you put forth the action or the energy towards that, you know, it's gonna come out, you know, rewarding.
That's because you're living in the now the whole time doing that.
Sample.
Mhm.
Like this how crazy indoctrination is though. Like this is how strong it is, but people take it lightly. And it's like different levels to everything. And they all could be right, you know what I'm saying? But just like all these books say that how you can move things with a faith of this and a faith of that, man. Right? So, but in your mind, in your body, in your soul, you've been taught that you cannot move shit with your mind. So that's how rough indoctrination is. Like, cause even if it's not with the education, it's still you know, influenced in how we react and act and, you know, how we treat each other, how that's indoctrination.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Man.
it's saturated.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like what you just said, you know, hit it right on the head because they're just telling us basically this is a result of this when they're leaving certain parts out of the original text.
Yeah. It's a perception too, because like Jerry Bay said, people think they can't make things happen with their mind or makes, you know what I mean? But they can. That's really all it's about. Like
Only play.
Mhm.
that's the only play. Yeah. Yeah. That's the only play. That's the only that's the only choice. You know what I'm saying? Because back to when you look up what man means in etymology, you look up the word man to think, right? Etymology. Yeah. So man is mind. It's not only a hermetic principle, it's a etymological definition of the word man, which is male and female. When we talk about man, it just means to think. So if you're not using your mind, you're not a man. And then when we look up God in etymology, huta. So the prefix hu in front of man means to invoke thought. So if you're not invoking thought or trying to manifest, you're not human. You're in an animalistic state, useless eater, stateless, ward.
Lower self.
You know what I mean?
Carnal.
Yep.
And now what they call that cholo. The lower self.
Mm.
Yeah, man.
Because we've been on the run.
So I'm gonna transition to astral diagnosis where we left off. It's heating up. It's heating up. So once again, everybody thinking mute and same thing. Take mental, physical notes, and we'll have another analysis on the back end. So this is chapter 10 of astral diagnosis. This chapter is dealing with diagnosing from the hands and fingernails. Once again, our perspective, a doctor. We're doctoring as we're reading this. We transition from the chart, right? The rising, why that's important, would determine somebody that has willpower versus somebody that don't. Now we're getting into diagnosing the hands and the fingers. Chapter 10, Astral Diagnosis by Max Wendell. The astrologer often finds himself at a great disadvantage in his reading and diagnosing, in that the patient is frequently mistaken in the hour of birth or is not able to give any time. Also, in 7 out of every 10 cases in which the native thinks he has the right time, the horoscope, when corrected by events or rectified, is found to be wrong. In this particular, people are constantly coming to the Rosicrucian headquarters with the horoscopes, which they have erected or have had some professional astrologer set up. And in numerous cases in which they have been positive, they have had the correct time of birth. The rising sign does not tally with the personal appearance and temperament. In one instance, a woman claimed to have Pisces rising, but when we met her personally, we at once concluded that she had the first degrees of Aries on the ascendant, for she had red hair, a decided ram's profile, a prominent Roman nose, and full lips, which if you read the message of the stars, you will find tally with Aries. Another woman came to headquarters claiming to have Leo on the ascendant, but she had a slender body, a long face, and decidedly receding chin, long, slender, conical fingers, and long nails. A perfect picture of Virgo. Interesting. One case came to our notice of an extremely tall woman. The hour of birth she gave brought Taurus on the ascendant, but her personal appearance was very similar to that of a Gemini. The horoscope had many planets in the signs indicating height, which are the Sun, Jupiter, Mercury, and Neptune were in Gemini, and the Moon and Venus in Aries. So before we move on, let's take a look at this diagram. And these are different finger types. 12 distinct types of fingernails. We're going to find out what that means shortly when assessing and diagnosing the body. This would give her length of arm and upper body. At first appearance, we doubted her rising sign of Taurus, but when we examined her fingernails, they were found to be the perfect Taurian type. Taurus was also indicated by the heavy jaw and full neck. A Gemini person nails are small and the neck slender. Diagram A will give the reader a key to the pure fingernails correlated to the signs of the zodiac. We just looked at that. Horoscopes with many planets in one sign will change the nails. In time, the student will be able, by using this chart, to detect the characteristics of any type. Before we continue, let's take a look at this visual display. This finger type, this finger type 1, finger type 2, associated with the heart. Finger type 3, liver. Finger type 4, dealing with the lungs. Finger type 5, dealing with the nerves. Finger type 6, dealing with being worrisome or having worries. Note how the types harmonize. Fixed signs nails are broad, showing great persistence and determination. The signs ruled by Venus, Taurus, and Libra give a more rounded nail. The fingers are well-shaped and long, and the mount of Venus, which is at the base of the thumb, is quite rounded and full. We could write much more on the hands and their characteristics as compared with the horoscope, but as this chapter is especially written to help the diagnosis of disease, we will confine ourselves largely to this matter. It is not difficult to detect diseases which are latent or lay dormant. For instance, look at diagram 1. We see a large, broad nail. This is similar to the pure Leo type, broad nail, Leo type, which heart trouble, latent, as in case number 5A, where the impulsive Mars is on the ascendant, square to Venus, indicating poor circulation and weak heart. We will find that the little half moons at the base of the nails are blue in color, and the lines and the palms of the hands are also blue. When heart trouble has developed to a chronic stage and is deep-seated, we find the nails rigid, lengthwise, as in diagram 1, and the corners turned upward away from the flesh, as in diagram 2. A horoscope which will illustrate this case may be found in The Message of the Stars. So this is a book. If y'all are interested in going more in depth in this specific area of diagnosing, dealing with the fingers, Message of the Stars. Figure 3 on page 625 of that book that he's referencing. And also, before I keep going, this is the third book that talked about Leo with having a bad heart. So once again, the Leos out there maintain peace, Zen, and Dalai Lama state. The nail is shown in diagram number 3. So matter of fact, before we keep going, because they keep mentioning, even though we just looked at these diagrams, now that we read, let's look at it again. And of course, popped it off with that diagram, which associated all the finger types with the zodiac signs. Once again, this will be on the record books and y'all can replay it again. The nail shown in diagram 3 is characteristic of cases such as number 10A. The nail, which indicates liver trouble, is usually large in size, but longer than number 1 or 2. The nail wedges into the flesh on the sides and is usually of a yellowish tint. So we know people that have yellow nails or yellow tint. Now we know why, or the characteristic trait that's associated with, rather. The lines of the palm are also yellow. Remember, when looking into the palm of the hand, that the color of the lines is as valuable clue to the health of the patient, or is a valuable clue to the health of the patient. The color of the lines of the hand, valuable. If in good health, the lines should be of soft pink if the blood is impoverished. So soft pink if impoverished. The lines are pale and white if the patient is feverish. Lines of the hand, pale and white if the patient is having a fever. The lines are red if the liver is out of order. They are yellow, and if the heart action is wrong, the color is blue. This is very specific. In diagram 4, we have a nail, which is generally found on the hands of people who have common or watery signs on the angles. Now remember, common is just another way of saying mutable in this book. Many planets in common or watery signs produce what is called the psychic type. People with long, slender, claw-like fingers and nails are super sensitive and lacking in strength and vitality. This type of nail is often found on the hands of the idle, rich woman who nurse a lapdog instead of a child and always have a box of chocolates at their sides. Long, slender, well-shaped hands and nails belong to the psychic type. Long, slender, well-shaped hands and nails belong to the psychic type. And when the nails are rigid, lengthwise, and the color of the nail is pale, it is an indication of a tendency to weakness in the lungs. Specifics on how to diagnose. This is Moorish science at its pinnacle. People with long, slender nails are usually susceptible to colds and coughs. Nail number 5 belongs to the nervous person who is intellectually inclined and prone to overdo. Diagram number 6. So let me just go back. Just went over diagram number 5. Nervous, but yet, studious, knowledgeable. Since we just read that, we might as well just get a good look at it. So that one we just looked at belongs to the nervous person who is intellectually inclined and prone to overdo. Next to that was the one, diagram 6, is that of a nail, which indicates the person who frequently bites his nails. Let's go back to that. Person who frequently bites his nails. Worrisome. Traits of being worrisome. It shows one who has little control over his temper and whose feelings are very easily hurt. Such people are always carrying a chip on their shoulder and always looking for slights. A well-balanced thumb indicates ability to control the emotions, including anger. But here, the thumb is short, and the end of it is club-shaped with a short nail. There is no control whatsoever over anger, and things easily turn red before the eyes. So this is a look at diagram B. All right. Glyph of a planet, Venus, diagram B. The thumb is a wonderful indicator of character and must be taken into consideration when diagnosing from the hand. Thumb dealing with character. In diagram B, we see that the mount of Venus and the thumb are both a little too heavy. This is a typical Taurus thumb or a Taurian thumb, with the mount of Venus very large, indicating a very strong desire nature. The thumb is short and thick, showing a lack of willpower to rule desires. When the thumb is long and well-shaped, it is an indication of high ideals and the will to carry them out. In a well-proportioned thumb, the first phalanx should occupy 2/5, and the second phalanx 3/5 of the length of the thumb. Interesting. So phalanx. I'm gonna have to look up phalanx before I move forward. But if I was to take a guess, I would think it's the lines in the finger itself. But let's look that up. Phalanx. A bone of the finger or toe. So a well-proportioned thumb, the first phalanx or bone should occupy 2/5, and the second phalanx or bone 3/5 of the thumb, of the length of the thumb. The tip of the thumb should reach the middle joint of the first finger. So the tip of the thumb should reach the middle joint of the first finger. And I'm looking at it, it do. It's the middle joint. Okay. But some people that don't though. A very long thumb indicates that a person is obstinate, headstrong. A very short one indicates lack of logic. So a short thumb indicates a lack of logic and a constant changing from one thing to another. If the thumb is very thick throughout its entire length, the desire and tastes are more or less coarse and primitive, and the person is lacking in tact and refinement. So can be tactful or savvy and refinement. If the thumb is very wide, especially at the tip. It indicates one who sees red easily, often one who has an ungovernable temper, can't govern one's temper. It also indicates stubbornness. The patient who has a normally developed thumb will carry out the physician's orders. If the first phallic of the thumb is very long and the second one is short, it indicates one who is reckless and whose actions are not controlled by reason. And I would love somebody else to look up phalanx to see what definition they got. It indicates one who is reckless and whose actions are not controlled by reason. If the first phalanx is short and the second very long, it indicates a talker, but not a doer. Such a person is mistrustful of everybody and lacks self-control. The mount of Luna, or the mount of the moon, is located on the little finger side of the palm and extends from about the middle of the palm to the wrist. When large and full, it indicates excessive emotion and imaginations. But when properly proportioned, it gives a well-balanced mind. It is this mount of the moon and lines found upon it which give the diagnostician a clue to mental afflictions and designate the lunar person. So not only the proportion of the finger, the thumb, pinky, etc., but the lines in the hand and fingers itself, and the color of the line, as we learned previously, are key in diagnosing oneself or another person. Indications from the fingernails. So now we're getting into indications from the fingernails. Long, slender nails curving inward towards the flesh, scrofulous and impure blood, weakness of the lungs, and throat trouble. White spots on the nails. The traits are anemia, impoverished blood, nervousness. Long nails, thin and brittle, the characteristics would be weak vitality, negativeness, and being timid. Black or blue spots on the half moons on the finger. You can really see it on your thumb, that bottom part. I don't know if y'all know what hat that they're talking about, but so if those half moons are blue or black spots, have black spots on them, that means there's poison in the blood, obstructed circulation, or restricted heart action. The shape of the nails should be taken into consideration before making a decision. See diagrams on page 63. Let's take a mental note, and we'll be at 63. But just know when we get to 63, we're going to be seeing diagrams of fingers, probably the black and blue spots on them. Well-rounded and clear-cut half moons on nails indicate good circulation. If pale pink, they indicate health. If dark blue, see page 64 for meaning. Nails whose top surface is concave indicate spinal weakness. Patients who have long, smooth hands, the flesh soft and smooth, the fingers flexible, the nails white in color, and especially when the nail wedge tightly into the sides of the finger and the wedge portion is colored, may be said to have been born tired. They will make little attempt to help the healer. They will prefer to have the invisible helpers do the work for them. So when we continue, we'll continue on part 2, diagnosis from horoscopes. So I'm going to open the floor for perspective, thoughts, mental notes and physical notes that were taken, highlights, etc.
Something about the last thing that you had just said. Somebody with like soft hands and stuff like that, they are don't really want to help out the patient. I mean, help out the healer. That stood out to me because it just jumped out like people don't want to get their hands dirty. They're not willing to help type stuff. So yeah, that just stood out to me.
Islam. Anybody else?
That's wild how they said that the people may have just been born tired.
Yeah, man. Yes.
Hey,
Yeah. There's people like that.
I see.
Now we gotta look at people's thumbs when we're shaking their hands and shit.
Yeah, man. Make people
Well,
more perceptive, huh?
And that's crazy how they put the diagram together. I never really paid attention like that.
And everybody has a certain mode. Everybody has one of these thumbs.
Hey, I'm looking at these things. Like,
you gotta watch out for that That worrisome got me, man. You gotta watch it with those.
this shit is too true, man.
I gotta watch it with the worrisome, man.
They said that's them nail biters, number 6. Man.
Yeah, man.
You can't shake it.
That was real detailed too.
I was like, okay, like that sounds like me. Literally. I was tripping off that.
Yeah. You're very detailed, man. It's like I say, there's more science right here, you know.
Sample, man. I got the good thumb. I can touch my second joint.
Carmisa said booty fingers when I was reading.
Man, don't nobody got fingers like that.
Alien fingers from different planets.
I see number 2 and number 6.
1 through 5, don't nobody got fingers like 1 through 5. I'm just saying. 6 now, I've seen some people with 6. So I can't front.
It's funny.
That look like a pointer finger. They don't look like thumbs, though. I tell you that. They look like that number 2 look like
For sure.
the eraser
Number
fell off
4
the
is the
pencil.
index finger.
You know, the hand that be holding the Mountain Dew can or what they look like. That's what they do. Mountain Dew.
They that look like the finger from that guy from Scary Movie, the guy with the strong hand.
Hey, they look like stick men bending over. Like, look at their head. It look like they look at you on their heads.
Man.
Wait. But those thumbs though, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, that's the thing. I seen all these. That's the
I can
part.
imagine.
Man, number
What'd you
4
say?
is a thumb.
That looks like a goddamn woman's pointer.
Hey, I seen a little Vietnamese lady with one of them thumbs.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah, she's like other lady.
Got
All
them,
her
got
fingers
them,
identical.
got them long skinny toes, huh?
Actually, the ones who really fuck with the hands the most. So if you look at they shit kind of be kind of crazy looking too.
Let me stop the recording, man. But yeah, this was definitely very fruitful, man. Very comprehensive.